All right, so this is the weekly recap for week commencing the 19th of January. The week's already played out. It's currently the Friday, the 23rd of January, and I took 3 trades overall. As you can see, I took 1 winning trade and 2 losing trades, but I'm up overall for the week. Bit of a funny one this week. I had potentially 2 biases on. I should have stuck to my initial bias, but obviously that's hindsight. So without any further ado, we'll get into the charts and I'll share my thinking. All right, so here we are on DXY, and my plan for this week was simply from this weekly fair value gap to this one to then push higher. So something looking like this, down to then go up, okay? That was kind of my overall narrative. Now, if you watch my previous videos on the weekly recaps, you know, we caught some great trades on the 5th of week commencing the 5th of January. We caught some amazing trades on Monday the 12th of January, or week commencing the 12th of January, and now we're currently going into the week that I'm currently doing the recap on, okay? So I came out last week at here, right? Because this is a weekly fair value gap and price can react from this. So going into this week, that was in my mind. We're currently in a weekly fair value gap. I then go on to Monday, so let me just play this out. I'll go on the 4 hour, and this is the actual thing that I spotted early in the hours when I came for London session. So this happened basically around, you know, midnight, you know, on Sunday. And if I just play this forward a little bit to London session, on the 1 hour, it's around about 7:30ish. I noticed this. Let's do it to 8. And I noticed that from this weekly fair value gap, we had displaced. We created a 4 hour fair value gap as well. And also, oops, sorry, here it is. 4 hour fair value gap just there. And also we created a inverse 1 hour fair value gap as well. I did notice that this candle here came into this 4 hour fair value gap and is starting to respect it. Okay. So this is where, thankfully I caught this because it was a bank holiday as well. And really, I don't do any intraday trades on bank holiday. I'm happy to swing trade on a Monday and also bank holiday, but I'm not happy to, you know, intraday trade. So I caught this on DXY, and how that looked on EU was the following. So this here was displacement on EU. Again, I'm looking at DXY thinking, well, DXY is turning bearish from this weekly fair value gap. EU, I trade the opposite of DXY. EU has also created a 4 hour inverse fair value gap, okay? Now for me, my stop loss was too big. If I go to the weekly, just mark this out because this is my target. So this is also a weekly fair value gap just here, right? I don't know if you can see this, but just there, this bearish weekly fair value gap. Unfortunately, the recording skipped forward a little bit, but this is the target, okay? Weekly fair value gap, this bearish candle here, we've got a gap. So that was my target, right? So I looked in the 4 hour, and if my stop loss was like covering these lows to that, it's not going to be good enough. And also I wanted to make sure that this was actually being respected. So I actually got in a bit higher. So you're talking a 1.4, right? That's not good enough for me for my trading. I want, you know, at least a very minimum, and I don't like taking them, you know, 1.7 to, you know, ideally 2R, okay? 2R or above. 1.7, you know, that's really pushing it for me, but 1.4, definitely not going to be, you know, taking that. So for me, I had to kind of use a bit of discretion on this one. And I wanted to first make sure that this 4 hour was being respected, right? So I played it forward a little bit more, or waited a little bit more, and you can see it's now starting to push away. Once I started to see this push away, I market executed here, and I moved my stop loss pretty much there. I think it was actually around about here for about a 2R trade, okay? So my stop loss is a bit more, you know, tighter, but I had confirmation based on this 4 hour inverse fair value gap being respected. And of course, DXY is actually, you know, creating bearish order flow, you know, 4 hour fair value gap with displacement away from a weekly fair value gap. And I'm just doing the opposite on EU. I didn't want to hold beyond here because, again, price can react from this, right? So you can see here, if I play this forward, that was the first winning trade, okay? Now, this is something that, if you're watching, this is all hindsight, but, you could have held on to here, but, if that reversed on you from this weekly fair value gap, then you'd be really annoyed with yourself. So you're always going to leave money on the table. For me, I came out there, I think it was about $5,000 for that trade, for a nice 2-hour trade. On the two losers, basically, I waited for DXY to react from this weekly fair value gap. So we're now inside this weekly fair value gap, and you can see what happens. It runs through it, but at the time of the actual trade, I was actually watching it, so it hadn't actually ran through it at this point. So you can see here we're on currently Tuesday, and we had a lot of news come out this week. Especially with Donald Trump and speaking about Greenland and the European leaders all meeting up. I wanted to see what we were kind of getting from that. So if I show you this, we can start to see a bit of a push away here, start respecting the weekly fair value gap. Again, it's a bit premature, but it's a good sign so far. So I'm not in at this trade as of yet. And this wick here was something that really interested me. So it came all the way down here, then shot back up, and this was a very aggressive candle as well. And this was kind of confirmation for me to actually get in longs, or should I say shorts on EU and GU. But if you're looking at DXY, that's basically what I'd be doing on DXY, even though I don't trade it. I'm just looking at this as analysis. So that was kind of the trigger for me. It was on Wednesday. And if I go on to EU, you can see that so that was the short as there. And I basically covered this high, and I was targeting this low. Again, it's just basically the opposite. From a weekly fair value gap to liquidity. And I'm looking at DXY thinking, well, we're inside a weekly fair value gap. We've now got displacement. And yes, we have all this, 4-hour fair value gaps here. But if you've got kind of narrative, you can't just, wait for, fair value gaps to get disrespected all the time. So basically, as soon as I saw this, I got into a market order, stop loss covering the highs. Again, if I did it up here, you can see it's a 1.5R, 8R trade, not great. But if I do it here, it's a 2.5, right? So that's why I'm happy for my stop loss to be there. So I entered the trade. I actually got in really good. I think I actually got in around about here, something like that. So really good entry, stop loss covering these highs like so. And I was in the trade. Something I held overnight as well, so you can see it play out. We actually create a 4-hour fair value gap here. So when I saw this, I was like, yep, that's a good positive sign. But as you can clearly see, price basically displaces straight through, okay? And they were the two losing trades that I took. I took the exact same trade idea on two separate accounts, and they were the two losers that I took. So yeah, it was a bit of a tricky one. I know, a lot of people watching this will be thinking, oh yeah, but you had these 4-hour fair value gaps, etc. For me and my trading, I go in with a weekly plan, right? I've got this plan, and I execute that plan if I see what I want to see. Would I have took that trade, every day of the week? Absolutely. That's what's important. I followed the plan, and still, due to the winner that I took on Monday, I'm still up overall. So it's not a bad week. It could have been better. Things I probably could have done a bit better is maybe on DXY weighted a bit more for displacement, maybe up here. Maybe a disrespect of this, although we've got another fair value gap here. But then I've got to think about the actual R of the trade. Am I getting enough room in that actual trade? So yeah, that's basically the weekly recap of this week. Again, it's been a great month so far. We've still got 1 week to go. Every week in January so far has been in the green. It's been positive, which is really good. And yeah, what I'll be doing is sharing next week, when that week's played out, the weekly recap for that as well. If you have got value from this, if you've got any questions, drop a comment below. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. If you have got value, give us a like. And also, we do have a private Facebook group if you are interested in trading and want to learn more. And you'll see that link in the comments. All right, that's enough for me. I'll see you all soon. Take care.